Hello everyone, I'm back with a brand new video, and today I'm going to be doing an update to a popular video from a couple of years ago. Back in 2022, I did a video titled Beginner's Guide to Collecting WWE Figures, and it was essentially a video where I just provide an overview of, how to, start your collection, where to get figures from, things to, look out for when getting figures, and it was extremely well received. In fact, it's in the top 8 of my most popular videos I've ever done on this channel. And I've been thinking about doing a new one for a while, and I figured today's a good day to do it. So just pretty much doing an updated version of this, and the purpose of this video is to just educate and inform you, specifically if you're a new collector, just about how to get into collecting WWE figures, and just kind of different types, what you can expect to see when you go into your nearest Walmart, Target, or even other stores you can go to get figures from. So again, I hope that you find this video informative, and above all, it's fun, because I love collecting wrestling figures. It's a very just cool hobby, of course, being a lifelong wrestling fan. So it's a lot of, I would say, it's a lot of for me, it's kind of connects me to my wrestling fandom, especially figures of wrestlers that I watched, growing up, going back, 10, 15, 20 plus years ago. So it's a pretty cool hobby. And so let's get into it. So first off, there are two main types of figures. Now, in my last video, the two types of figures that you will see whenever you walk into a store. And actually, let's start back. Let's go back a little further than that. So the two main locations where you can expect to see WWE figures are Walmart and Target. Those are the two big, retailers, big box stores, I guess you could call it. So usually in most cities, most neighborhoods, there's a Walmart or possibly Target nearby. More so Walmarts. Walmarts are, I think, far more common than Targets, but they both have pretty good penetration. So again, whenever you walk into your Target or Walmart and go to the toy section, you're going to be guaranteed to see WWE figures. Now, what exactly we see on the shelves? You're going to primarily see these two types of figures. So first off, we have what is known as your main event series figures. And a few years ago, these were actually called Basic Series. They've changed the name since then, so now they're Main Event, and you'll see the Main Event Series logo at the bottom. And these are essentially your introductory, I want to say a word, I guess basic is the best way to put it. These are your basic, I guess, starter figures. These figures are more affordable. They retail for about $11.99. Back when I did my initial video in 2022, and I think up until maybe 2020, maybe it was late 2023, early 2024, these retail for $9.99 at Walmart's and Target. So again, these are your, I would say, entry-level figures, but do not be deceived, because these figures are extremely interesting, and they're good figures, very good quality figures. The quality has gone up over time, as with any field and technologies. The tools that they have to make the figures, and the face scan recognition, and just other things that really made these figures stand out more than they did, I would say, a decade ago. And these are some of the and actually, truth be told, if you're watching my videos, you know that I love collecting these Main Event and Basic Series figures more than Elites. I have a lot of Elites, of course, but these Basic Series figures, to me, they're just, I like them a lot better, and it's very hard to explain why. But this is a recent Roman Reigns Main Event Series figure I got. And even just the improvement, I mean, look at the face scan. I mean, this figure, I don't know if it gets across well on the camera, but this looks exactly like the picture of Roman Reigns you see right there. Now, years ago, the face scan technology, head scan technology they used it wasn't what it is today. But for the most part, the quality that you get from a Main Event Series figure is comparable to what you get from an elite series, and they even come with more accessories now. Now you can't really, not so much in this one, but some they come with. There's a new Steve Austin. There's a Steve Austin main event series figure out now that actually comes with his, the entry vest, the vest he wore. Some of them have come with additional, pieces, mask, and other just little kind of other, accessories. So again, they have really come up a lot, and these are what you want to use to, these are the figures if you really want to start building your collection affordably. You can find these figures at pretty much any Walmart, Target. You can also find these figures at Rose's discount stores such as Rose's, Ollie's, and when you go there now, and it's hit or miss. Some Roses don't have them. The Roses here in my town, Reedsville, they had some last year. I went by there a few weeks ago, and they didn't have any. And they tend to, of course, at these kind of discount chains, they have much older figures. So if you go expecting to find this Roman Reigns figure, you're going to be disappointed. But they do have a lot of older figures, even some figures going back, a couple of years ago. So again, these are the main event figures, entry level figures to build your collection, and a really good place to start at. And also another location where they have these that you can find these at is Five Below. I've seen some at Five Below in the past. Now up next, these are, I would say, these are the most popular figures, WWE figures, and they're the Elite Series. The Elite Series, when you walk into a store, toy aisle, these are the ones that definitely, I think, will catch your eye the most, because they usually come in some very detailed, eye-catching packaging. You see that nice the Elite logo. Where is it? It's right up here, the Elite Collection, and it's also, on other parts of the box. But the Elite Collection is really, that's to let you know that you have an Elite figure in your hands. Now, is every Elite Series figure great? Of course not. But more often than not, these are the figures that have these are the figures that most collectors are after. And these figures come with, there's a few things that each one comes with. Now, unless it's very, very rare circumstances, most Elite figures will come with an accessory. As you see, this figure comes with the title belt, and then it has the interchangeable hands, to which you can change out easily. And then some come extremely loaded. If you watch my channel, watch a video I did I think I did it within the last year or so. There was a Hulk Hogan Elite figure that literally had a ton of accessories. It was almost venturing into Ultimate Edition territory, which I will get into in a little bit. But these are the Elite Series figures. They have more points of articulation, and they also have various. There are several, even within the Elites, there are several themed series. So most Elites, the average Elite you will see will fall into the numbered category, as does the main event series figure. I didn't show you on that, but I'll show you here with this Elite Series figure. This is the Elite Series 100 Steve Austin. So as you see up there, you have the number Series 100, and I think right now the Elites around, I think they're maybe in the 140s, I believe. So they basically do a new series feels like every other month, and there's typically 6 figures to a series. And also within the Elite Series, you have a lot of sub-series. So this, for example, this is the Monday Night War Greatest Hits line, which of course these figures take inspiration from the Monday Night War era of wrestling. And this is also a sub-series. This is the Greatest Hits line, just the regular Greatest Hits, which again, going back in time to some more vintage classic looks of your favorite current wrestlers. This is the Greatest Hits Sheamus, and this came out a couple of years. I think this may have came out under 2 years ago, but this outfit is what Sheamus wore when he won the King of the Ring tournament back in like 2010. So again, kind of takes your favorite superstars and throws them back in time to some of their classic moments. Then also you have the Legend series, which you will only see these at Target. And this is also another good point to bring up. As you see on this figure, it has this Ringside Collectibles exclusive sticker, and it means that this figure is an exclusive, which means that the only place you can get this Bret Hart WrestleMania 8 inspired Legend Series figure is from Ringside Collectibles. You cannot find this in a Walmart. You cannot find this in a Target. Now you may see it if you go to like your local, a used toy store or a something like that where someone may have traded in. But again, exclusive figure. And also, let's get into the Legend Series. So the Legend Series is really one of my favorite. It may be my favorite subset of elites because they just have such a, I guess, a air of prestige to them. You see this box and it's the black and gold, and then they have the nice, image on the side of the figures. Just a very, no, this is, my goodness, I'm tripping. Really, this is defining moments. So you will not see this figure actually in any again. So I got confused with Legend Series, which I do not have a Legend Series with me, which is unusual. I meant to have one. But in any case, this is defining moments clearly as I see it right now. So again, but like I said, this is an exclusive figure that you cannot find in a regular retail store. And again, you can only get the defining moments. These are only available online if I'm correct. Now the Legend Series figures, which I love immensely so, the Legend Series figures, those are Target exclusive. So again, and it's just so many intricacies, and we could really just do a deep dive into every subset, which I may do at some point. But the Legend Series figures are ones that you can only find at Target, and they kind of have a similar black and gold aesthetic to the packaging. But again, as you see, this figure is just very much built with the collector in mind. If you were to give this to a 10-year-old kid today, they may be familiar with who Bret Hart is just from seeing him on maybe some WWE Legend stuff or at the Hall of Fame ceremony. But if you're my age, this figure will instantly stand out because again, this is based off his WrestleMania 8 attire. And then just, you see the back of it, and he gives a description of the match, that this, came from, and, just very much built with the adult collector in mind. And then I think those are, and then also you have some what I would call very fun subsets. Now this is the Rey Mysterio Street Fighter Elite Series figure. Now these Street Fighter series, I believe these are Walmart exclusives because I got this from Walmart a few months back. And again, it has the arcade, packaging, and really, really fun. And I really enjoy these figures because it just really shows the creativity and of the toy, people at Mattel and the people that make these figures. They are really fans themselves, and it's a pretty cool collaboration, with the Street Fighter movie coming out soon. So again, these are in just a very, very cool design, and I may not open this for a very long time because it's just so cool in the box already. And then also with the Elites, you have your collector's editions. So collector's editions are essentially, that's what it says, it's collector's edition. These run in smaller quantities than your standard Elites. And I can't say they're necessarily extremely rare, but they're slightly more rare, I guess. I'm not going to say this figure, if I were to go on eBay, this figure would probably be about $30, which isn't, not that far from what I paid for it. But yeah, and you'll see the collector's edition, labeling right here. And this is one of the coolest figures I've gotten in a long time. This is the statue, kind of like the award statue Rock figure. I was at Walmart a few weeks back, and they had a display of various elites, and I was actually looking for the demolition figures. And as I was going back through, I was kind of like not finding what I wanted, and then I saw the collectors. I saw the I don't know what gave it away, but I saw this and it clearly looked different than the other figures. And then when I pulled it back and saw this, I was like, yes. So again, and most of the collector's edition figures do highlight more of your legends. It's very rare, almost never will you see a collector's edition figure of a current, main roster WWE star. They're usually your guys who are big, of course, Rock, Legend. Also have some pretty cool collector's edition figures of Pat Patterson, Michael P.S. Hayes, and these are figures that if you see a collector's edition figure in store, you may want to get it. because you might not see it again. And if you do see it again, it'll be probably on, eBay or, can't say eBay, but it may be marked up a lot at a local kind of toy store. But really cool figure though. And the actual best bang for in Elite Series figures, so all these figures that I just showed you, which are all in the Elite Series, they retail for about roughly $22.97. I believe that's the standard price at Walmart and Target, which is a big difference from what they were a couple of years ago when Elites at one point, and I kid you not, back in like 2020, 2019, I could go into Walmart and get some Elites for $15.99. Then a little bit later, they went to $19.99, and now they're at $22.97, which is a big reason why I have really backed off of getting Elites. I just do not think they're worth the price hike, and I know, of course, the inflation and everything going on, but $22 and change is a pop. 22 a pop is a lot for a plastic wrestling figure, which is why I stick with the main event series figures and also these figures, which I'm about to show you. So these are the main event showdown sets. And as you see, it's a 2-figure set. And usually it's with 2 wrestlers who have history. They either have feuded, they're either tag team partners. There's some connection, of course. If you watch, WWE back in the 80s and 90s, you know that Hulk and Mean Gene were always very tight. So this is one of my favorite main event showdown sets. And again, the thing I love about these is that the price point is excellent. You can get both 2 figures for, I think retail of these is the price of one Elite. An Elite Series figure, is 22 and some change, whereas you can get this for sometimes even cheaper, I believe. Now, don't quote me, but these are either $19.99 or $22.97. But either way, you're getting 2 generally great quality figures for the price of one Elite. And which makes this a steal. And as you can see, they usually come with one accessory. This one comes with the belt, and this is this is the old school WWF belt Hogan used pre-Winged Eagle. So again, this is a very, to me, what I would call a deep cut. And when I say deep cut, it really is a figure that they really go back in history, and it's something that, is a little obscure, and that you don't see it often. We always associate Hulk Hogan with the red and yellow, but he actually used to wear a lot of blue back in the day, the blue and red. So unless you were a really, really old school, early Hulkamania fan, you might not remember, that Hulk Hogan rocked these colors a lot before his more popular red and yellow. So again, when you see, and again, I've gotten quite a few of these, and they are a very good deal. And then last but not least, now you won't see these maybe a lot, but these are a newer line. Actually, we're almost last but not least. Up next, we have the Ultimate Edition figures. Now, in my last video, I think I probably had the same, pretty much the same thoughts, but Ultimate Editions, they just aren't my thing. I don't collect a lot of them, and the price point is one reason. Ultimate Editions are the most expensive of the single figures you will get. Ultimate Editions, they run now in the, I would say, mid to late 30s. When they first came out, I want to say they were in maybe the late 20s, but of course with inflation and everything going up, they are now, really going to be paying closer to $40 for these. And to me, that's just insane for one figure. I only have 3 Ultimate Editions, if I'm correct. And this is one that I'm not really the biggest fan of. I may end up putting this on eBay, or maybe I can probably put this on eBay. But, and they come, and now again, they are now, in terms of the features of the figure, it's top of the line. They by far have the most realistic, head scan, accessories. I mean, if you want a figure that really looks like the wrestler on TV with incredible multiple points of articulation and accessories, then these are the ones for you if you can afford them. And with this Ultimate Warrior, now this Ultimate Warrior right here, I guess the jacket makes up for it. But typically with Ultimate Edition figures, I see they come with several different interchangeable heads. Like sometimes I've seen some with like two, in addition to, of course, the one that's there already. So you have three different heads that you can switch out, and then tons of accessories, belts, and other little things. And this one have a really good quality jacket, so that is and pretty cool. But again, Ultimate Editions just aren't my thing. And now some figures that are new to the party are the LJN series figures. So I did a video on this Steve Austin figure about maybe a month or so ago, month and some change ago. So these figures take inspiration off of the famous 80s LJN line of figures, LJN line. And of course, there's no articulation. It's just straight hard plastic. You could literally throw this at someone's head and do some serious damage. I encourage you not to do that, but hey. But and of course, much more caricature features. These features, head scan. These figures really, at least this Austin one, does not look like Steve Austin at all compared to his Elite Series figures, or even compared to this Ringmaster Austin figure, where it kind of really looks like, the picture you have of Austin right there on the box. And even this, even this one kind of has a pretty good resemblance to how Austin looked at that time in his career. But again, these are definitely, again, more just really deep cut / love letters to your older fans, adult collectors, because if you grew up in the 80s, you definitely remember these LJN WB figures. So it's cool that they bought these back for a new generation. And the great thing is that they bought a lot of the exact figures that are released in the initial line back. So you have your King Kong Bundys, you have your Jesse Venturas. I mean, the figures look almost nearly identical to the ones that were released back in the 80s. So again, and these figures, I believe they retail for the same price as an Elite. So you're going to be paying about $22 for them, which again, it's a little too expensive, but these are some really cool figures. I definitely like that they have started making these. And they also, of course, have a lot of the current guys in there too. So you have, well, not so much. You have, your John Cena's, Austin's, Logan Paul's. I don't think they're going to be doing, having the guys you see every week on Raw and SmackDown in these series, but just more so resurrecting this line for a new generation. And also, and then last but not least, so these are figures that you can pretty much find at any Walmart and Target. Now, there's also some other places you can get figures from. As I told you before, Ollie's, Rose's, Five Below. There are probably some places I'm missing. Also, I've seen figures at places towards like TJ Maxx, Marshalls. I don't see them as much as I used to, but you may walk, depending on where you live at, you may walk into one of those stores and find some figures. And usually the figures at these places are very discounted because, again, there probably are some that are, that did not sell, and whatever retailer or store, they're just, kind of giving you their overstock. So you'll definitely can find some cheap figures there, but the likelihood may not be the best because, again, as I said earlier, my Roses, they did not have any the last time I went there. And then when they did have some, they were like, from very old. They had figures that I saw like in stores back around 2023-ish, 2022. But another place where you can get some good figures from is your local. If you have a local, bookstore, used bookstore, I would definitely check them out as well. And your local, toy store. So in Greensboro, there's a toy store called Nerd Bombers, and they sell, figures in box as well as loose figures. And basically, a loose figure is a figure that is not that does not come in its original packaging. It's a used figure, basically. And so with any used figure, definitely check the condition. Make sure that it is, no major markings or things of that nature on it. Now, this is a loose Bushwhacker figure I got from Nerd Bombers a couple of years ago, and it's in pretty great condition, all things said. Now, typically, I prefer to get my figures, in box, new, but I will not lie. I've gotten a ton of great used figures that were basically new to me. And a few years ago, I stocked up on about 20, roughly about 20 Jakks Superstar, classic Jakks Superstars figures for very, very cheap. So again, don't count out your used bookstores, and especially if it was at McKay's. So if you were from, from your, Greensboro, High Point, Gifford County, McKay's is a popular used bookstore. There used to be one in Greensboro, now it's moved to Mebane, but there's also one in Winston-Salem, and I've gotten several figures from there, used and new, for pretty great prices. So that may be another option for you as well, to find some affordable figures. And I believe that is all I have for today. And the main thing with collecting is that collecting's fun. Again, I am not a fan of, a lot of some of the price hikes and things that have happened lately. But at the end of the day, there always are entry points for everyone to get into the hobby. And again, with collecting, just be mindful, and I've even had to be more mindful myself lately, because I do not collect figures nearly to the extent, or I'm not buying figures to the extent I was a few months ago. Over the last couple of months, I've just kind of taken a step back because I've had other priorities. So again, but again, figure collecting is extremely fun. And again, really for, if you're a kid who's in the WWE right now, a young kid, or even if you're an adult like myself who has really gotten to the hobby as a way to really kind of just reconnect with wrestling, it's a great hobby. And again, there are just so many, just the figures that they're coming out with. I mean, there are so many. I mean, it's an explosion. We're really in a golden age of wrestling figures. Back in the 90s and the 2000s, you always had wrestling figures, but now just the market for them, and even with current wrestlers, you have wrestlers in the business such as Matt Cardona, who has his own podcast, the Major Figs podcast, with his former tag team partner, Kurt Hawkins. Don't think it's his real, I forgot his real name, but they actually do a podcast which is strictly dedicated to their love of wrestling figures, and you see them doing unboxings, going on toy hunts, and they even have their own line of figures that they produce through their company. The Major, I think it's called the Big Rubber Guys, which of course take their inspiration from the classic LJN figures from back in the day. So again, just to show that it's the wrestling figure market is just so huge. And even though and they always, when you have your the annual Comic Con, like San Diego Comic Con and stuff like that, they're unveiling the new things coming down the line. But always, there's always entry points for everyone to get into. So I would say, again, if you're looking to build up your collection affordably, starting out a collection, even if you do have some figures and there's kind of some new places and things, for to build up your collection affordably, I would definitely check out your nearest Ollie's. If I were you, Ollie's, maybe Rose's, stores like that, because you can usually find some pretty good quality figures for a much cheaper price than you can in Walmart or Target. And then if you're want to get your figures new, which that's how I am for the most part, I would suggest you start with the main event line, because again, these are really good figures. They're quite underrated. And they are getting better like every series. These figures just getting more detailed, and even this Roman Reigns, with the shoes, the sneakers, and even like the bands, and just the look, and you have the tattoos. This is a really, really good Roman Reigns figure, and I have a couple of Roman Elites, so I can say that this is one of the better Roman figures I've gotten in a long time. So that's all I have for you all today. Again, thank you for watching this video. It's a little long, but again, hope you've enjoyed it. Definitely getting back doing more of the wrestling content. As I've been really into the sports cars lately, and still going to be doing that, but definitely have a lot more wrestling content to get through. Still got some figures, a lot of figures I need to unbox. So again, just thank you all for watching. Thank you for checking me out. And as I always say in these videos, or I say 99% of the time, thank you for taking out the time to watch. I truly appreciate it, because there are millions of other videos you could be watching on YouTube, but you chose to watch mine, and I do appreciate it. So thank you all. Have a great day, and I will see you again in a little bit. Peace.